When you become more ambitious, that is when gear tends to bite you in the ass. Hey everybody, I'm Hugh Brownstone for 3 Blind Men and an Elephant, and welcome to episode 3 in our occasional series entitled Used in Anger. In this series, I explore with you what I learn when I take gear I'm testing out into the real world beyond the Bat Cave and Bat Studio downstairs, and usually get hosed in the process one way or another. Now, if you've watched previous episodes where I covered mics and lighting, you know that late last year I did an interview using a 3-camera setup where I was both a one-man band behind the camera and one of the 2 people in front of the camera. The very first thing I learned is never, ever do a 3-camera setup without Claudia again. Today, though, I'm going to talk about a more recent 3-camera shoot we conducted down in Washington, D.C. Hold that thought for another video. And I'll just cut to the chase. 1. Having Claudia there made all the difference, unless it is absolutely unavoidable, and you need to think long and hard about why that would be. Never, ever, ever do a 3-camera shoot without an assistant, a DP, a camera op, especially when you are also in front of the camera. 2. This time around, I didn't around with audio, and we used the Sony UWP D27 2-person UHF wireless lav system I mentioned and bought in episode 2. It worked flawlessly, but I had Claudia there to constantly monitor both channels, relieving me of that particular stressor. 3. This time around, I swapped out Sony A7 IVs for a trio of Panasonic's just announced brand new and starting to deliver Lumix S5 IIs, and they were dead on. I had 0 worries about overheating and 0 worries about autofocus, which is revelatory in the case of Panasonic. From now on, the S5 II is my go-to for all of my complex video needs. 4. And now we're getting into the meat of this episode. Especially in tight places, in a multicam shoot like this, you will want A. Not only wireless video transmission to a screen big enough to clearly see the margins of the frame to confirm lighting and focus. B. Not only to see how postures and gestures might impact that framing, but C. A screen small enough so that, as both director and on-screen talent, just before your camera op, sound guy or gal or assistant says speed and then rolling, you can satisfy yourself while in place on set that you really can let go of that stressor too. And D, showing all camera angles simultaneously to that one screen. How else could you possibly be certain that everything works? 2 sets of eyes, yours as well as your camera op, sound guy or gal assistant, are always better than 1, even if they're terrific. Having learned at our prior 3-camera shoot late last year that working with a long HDMI cable running to my Ninja 5, 1 camera at a time to make sure everything was framed up and working properly was an appallingly bad idea, this time around we came prepared with Blackmagic's, only $295 now, ATEM Mini Pro, Accsoon's $650 Cineview SE wireless transmission system, and my own 11-inch iPad Pro equipped with Accsoon's app for it. The idea was to send the signal from each of our 3 cameras to the ATEM Mini Pro and then feed a single signal out showing all 3 angles from Cineview transmitter to the iPad wirelessly. Didn't matter to me that the ATEM Mini Pro is actually designed as a live production switcher, or that in most ways it would be total overkill for what we were trying to do. The bottom line, though, is this. First, the ATEM Mini Pro was dead simple for what I wanted to do. all of maybe 1% of what the thing can do, but that 1% showing all 3 camera angles simultaneously, truly plug and play, no glitches, I didn't need to read the manual, no FUT zone, baby. It was terrific and made a big difference to me as far as reducing stress. Second, attaching the Accsoon Cineview to the ATEM Mini Pro and then transmitting wirelessly to the iPad worked too, as did the app. Yay. I was indeed able to see all 3 cameras at one time on the iPad, which was my very limited goal to the day. I could have even recorded the whole thing to my iPad via the Accsoon app. Hold that thought, because with this said, third, the Accsoon system took longer than I'd like to fully boot up and be discovered by the iPad. Fourth, I don't know why there has to be a separate network set up by the Cineview. Fifth, I much prefer the size of the iPad screen to that of my Ninja 5s. Sixth, I much prefer the battery life of my iPad to the Sony-style battery used by my Ninja, although fair enough, one can use a dedicated cable and brick to supply power directly to the Ninja from a 110-volt outlet. No biggie down in the Bat Studio, but traveling with one, that would just mean more things to schlep and connect. No thank you. But finally, seventh, the one thing I realized I actually wanted to do, but so far haven't been able to figure out how to do, is use the iPad not only as a monitor, but as a remote controller for the ATEM Mini Pro simultaneously. Think switcher functionality and viewer for the ATEM Mini Pro output on one screen, controlled and received wirelessly to and from the iPad. Now, I'm not an engineer, but while Blackmagic does offer their ATEM software control app for my MacBook Pro, this requires a USB-C connection between it and the ATEM Mini Pro. No big deal. The software control app has been designed assuming an entirely separate screen handles the ATEM Mini Pro's output signal via HDMI. And I know this is not what I want. Not for a 2-person team with fairly modest ambitions having nothing to do with live streaming. I don't know which company is better positioned and inclined to give me what I want. On the one hand, Blackmagic is already so close. On the other hand, all Accsoon has to figure out is how to add 2 more HDMI inputs to the one already there on the transmitter, and then bulk up the transmitter to handle the additional bandwidth required, and radically upgrade the app so that it's not just taking one signal with one big viewing screen and then 2 little screens for the other cameras that you can't switch as things stand today. That's it for now. I have a solution set much better than the one I had previously, but still not quite where I want it to be. But maybe you know how to accomplish this either with these tools or other tools, and if you do, I'd love to read about it in the show notes down below, because that would be awesome, and I have no monopoly on good ideas. If you like what you've seen here today, please give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, join the conversation in the comment section below, because this is an exceptional audience. If you'd like help with a portfolio review, gear selection, finding or honing your artistic voice, sign up for a one-on-one mentoring video call via Zoom at 3bmep.com/booking. Finally, please consider supporting our work by using the no-cost-to-you affiliate links down below, sending us coffee money via PayPal, or most especially, joining us on Patreon, links down below as well. However you choose to support us, as always, we thank you for it.